I'm curious how you think about kind of the structure of a product marketing team and like the different functions at some scale, and you can kind of take your pick because you say, all right, product marketing is responsible for launches. Like, do you just have one PM who's doing all the launches? Do you segment the team by product area? Like, how do you sort of think about those different structures of a product marketing team?
Well, so I have a slightly spicy take on product marketing as it relates to like marketing team structure on the whole, which is, yeah, I came from PlayStation early on in my career. And like I mentioned, at the beginning of the show, like that was looked like a brand management role where I was actually doing a lot of integrated campaign planning. And I truly believe that the best marketing orgs are structured in that way where each product marketer is kind of a product owner for their specific product line or product or whatever it is that, whatever, how you want to subsegment your business. Um, and that product marketer is actually like owns some degree of P&L for that product. And the other marketing teams are actually acting as support teams for that product marketing team to execute go-to-market strategy around, a much longer time horizon for their products. And so I typically recommend that, like a product marketing team is mostly aligned by product vertical. And then if you have, a PLG motion, there's some additional kind of like side product marketing work that tends to be pretty horizontal that sits, kind of alongside that, which is usually you have like potentially a pricing expert, potentially a sales enablement expert, potentially somebody who's focusing on like onboarding in product and cross sell. And those can be horizontal roles, but they don't actually look like true product marketing in most cases. They're kind of like a subset of it. But the people who are really doing like go to market, they're each aligned to a product vertical and each of them owns the go to market for their own products.
Really cool. I like that setup a lot. And so then there's like a shared services within the marketing team for demand gen, digital, creative, all those things. And then the PMs they come up with the positioning and the messaging, but then also act as the project managers to get all of that stuff done for the launch or ongoing support or whatever it is.
Yeah, and product marketing basically acts as kind of air traffic control across all of that, and like the marketing budget on the whole ends up getting broken out where each product vertical has its own budget, but then you do have like some shared services budget that sits across that for the demand gen and creative teams and whatnot.
One question that I think pretty much every founder who's maybe not a marketer asks themselves is like, what's the profile they should think of when they're hiring their first marketer? I'm sure you've been on calls being asked that yourself. Should it be someone with a product marketing background? Should it be more demand gen? Should it be somewhere in the middle? What's your take on that question?
I do think it very much depends. Like, and unfortunately, as with all business questions, it's like it kind of depends. If you are, for most startups, like especially when they're like technical founders who don't have a marketing background, I would definitely recommend starting with a product marketer, but you have to find the right product marketer. You have to find a product marketer who actually can flex into the growth marketing work, which like a lot of them can't, especially if you're looking at like product marketers from bigger companies. They just haven't had to go and like operate the knobs on Facebook ads or on, like building out SEO programs. And that's a level of tactical expertise that like is tricky to find. But I think that most startups early on, the primary things that they suffer from are product marketing problems. It's like they're either priced wrong, their positioning isn't clear or isn't hammered out. They haven't identified like what the right persona for themselves to target is, and like those are product marketing things. But if you have a very narrow, clear product where like you feel like you have really clear message market fit and like people understand what you do and they're converting at a high rate, like all you got to do is generate leads. And in that case, you should be really hiring like a demand gen person who can just fill the funnel.
So you've been an early employee at a number of companies and worked with tons of early stage companies as well. Like, I'm curious, how has it been different as a founder? Like juxtaposing those sort of two experiences, like what's it been like being a founder for you?
It's funny. I mean, it feels pretty similar. I will say that the biggest thing is like I feel like I'm back at the beginning of my career again, where it's like I went from classic, I forget what's the effect. It starts with a D. I'm blanking on it, but classic case of I thought that I knew everything, then I didn't know anything. Then I thought that I started getting good at things again, and really started to understand my role as head of marketing, head of product at these companies. And then I dropped back into a new role where like I'm suddenly just flailing around in the dark again on like half of the things that I'm doing day to day. So it just kind of feels like a big learning experience again. And then on top of that, it also is just like, you're taking all of the complexity that exists of like being an early employee in a department and then amplifying that by all of the departments in the company. And so it's like you take, it's really hard being the first marketer in a company. It's 5 times harder being the first marketer, first salesperson, first product person, first everything else. So it's just like more intense in most cases.
It's a very humbling experience. I think you start questioning yourself, like, wait, do I actually know what I'm talking about? This and that, because there's so much rejection and so much like uncertainty as you're building and doing things. And yeah, and it's funny, like you talk to a family member, they're like, "Ooh, you're the CEO," and it's like, well, CEO really means I'm just doing all this bitch work all the time. Like I'm an early employee on every function. It's such a funny thing, yeah. But existentially, you just have that pressure too of like, am I going to make it? Is this going to work? Like, I feel that way more as the CEO than I did as an early stage employee because I was like, whatever, it doesn't work. His problem.
Yeah.
I'll go do something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you just go get another job, and like
Yeah.
as a founder, you feel like your entire identity is tied up in the company, and you're just like, if it doesn't work, and my life is over.